never be safe.
You'll never be safe from us going live. Hello. Welcome.
Is that a dangerous thing, going live?
Yeah, in my experience.
Variation of pepperoni, maybe.
Hey. So,
Alright.
the peace talks, only one session of waiting for them. The peace talks between Lichvale and the Deadless actually rise from Lichvale, but these are much more of the rebel faction. Although you already know that the peace talks that are going on are more or less about the Deadless altogether. It's just as Casbank is the closest thing to a Deadless leader that exists. So whatever you decide for the Deadless is probably going to be for most of them, including the ones that are already being guards. So, you guys, I ate really quickly, and now I'm like, words, please. But I was hungry, so.
I did that recently. I was like, my stomach hurts from eating. It was like full bowls of cereal.
Was that when you ate 2 bowls of cereals? And was it before everyone?
And my wife even called me during it, and I was like, oh.
2 bowls of cereal is too much. Can we get an agreement here that 2 is too much? One fully stacked bowl is okay.
I eat a box of cereal.
That's very
fine. But 2 of that quickly is really bad.
Cereal's kind of gross.
A bowl is not a uniform measurement.
That's a good point, actually. Well, his bowl is a normal bowl. I've seen his bowl. I've seen Scott's bowl.
Why have you seen that man's bowl?
Because he's shown me the bowl.
I've not seen Dean.
He's not directly shown me the bowl. I've seen the bowl in a voyeuristic fashion. And I think about it. Anyway, so you know that Lichvale, the peace talks are going on tomorrow. There's nothing that you need to discuss. No, Vale wants to have a chat with Gil. That can happen the night before, or is that going to happen the day of?
What's that, Bill?
I told you. Gil doesn't know when that's going to happen.
Okay, so behave.
Well, Gil presumably doesn't know that's going to happen at all. Dean does.
Nah, Gil does. He's out and acting like a pouty little bitch.
Oh, he's just waiting. He's waiting.
He's
waiting for his father.
Sooner or
to
later,
scold
Vale
him.
will give me attention if I act like this.
I mean, Amelia will ask about Forak and the item and their need to go to a radio. If we have time.
You have the night, basically.
I would just be like, what is your plan after this? To just go to a nation and look for a small object?
Well,
do you have any leads?
It's more of looking for a person. She was desperate to work for one of the noble houses there. I trust you, so I will tell you. We were working for House of Gast. And
Ollie, what do I know of a radio? Can I roll?
History roll.
History roll. You get a history.
You know, Aradia is the city of is the city and country of wood elves. Basically, you can say the same thing because most of the country where people live is the city, but it's a city that's it's not Bastilian. It's wide.
Yeah,
and
it's
rural.
it's round the borders really, or the north side where Thundrel is. That it isn't actually Aradia.
Yeah,
but a lot of it really is.
And you've heard that they live in the elves work in houses, and that's pretty important to older elves. You know, actually, because Bastilian is a very much a young city. There's very few elder races that live there. That's half wood elves are coming up in Aradia, and they do things very differently. But the older elves are still very old, stuck in their old ways, and because of that, they're very racist and very strict and blah 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 blah. But there's the new blood coming up.
Half elves are coming up.
The baby boomer half elves.
That's still not much of a plan. Is there any way you can send word to this person, perhaps?
We didn't really part on the best of terms.
So your plan is to surprise this person rather than make arrangements?
Well, I actually thought that we know what her armor and sword, etc., and we also know what this object is like. But get into the center of the city, say, and use some form of magic to track the item. And then I could steal it, or we could talk to Caitlin.
I prefer the first one. Yeah, I've got locate object. I know that spell.
See?
I've used it before to track these two little bastards when they got when they got trapped in snow. It's no big deal.
In a blizzard.
Me and Gil, perfect team. He finds, I steal. Gil, laugh.
We have very different definitions of that word.
I just like
What-
the
which
truth.
word?
But-
The
Good,
complaint
team?
was Sid going,
Perfect.
Oh,
Sorry, can I just ask, Amelia, why do you care?
Yes. Well, I was going to offer to help you get there. It's, after all, what I kind of do now.
Okay.
Is that acceptable to you?
you're gonna turn to
Yeah.
Gil. She likes me.
Did you
No.
hear that? She heard that.
Never mind. Never mind. Forget I asked.
Melody just looks up as Gil and Amelia, no fight, please.
I'm not fighting. I'm just asking. Genuinely just asking.
Frowns.
Amelia is being very kind and offering to help Gil with something. Isn't that nice? He says
thought
to,
so.
to Melody.
Melody is still frowning at Gil.
No, I'm just asking.
My abilities and my training are in protection. Traveling alone can be difficult. But I can always find work.
That was what I was going to say. I'm not sure how much gold there would be on this path for the moment. As long as you are fine with that, I'm sure there will be enough to survive, but, we're not going to be making riches out of this.
Everyone needs potions. And alarms. I can find work.
I don't think I need alarms. And to be fair, with the kind of potions you generally create, I didn't need those for,
Sid,
I don't know,
you-
75,
you
125
definitely
years.
Oh, well, I am working on something new that you might like.
Well, yeah, we have that thing that we're working on. You have something else too?
No, a potion, yeah. And I'll show him like what we're working on, and they kind of like explain like that it's not like it's not really like fixing your wounds. It's more creating like a shield.
This sounds
Better
intriguing.
and worse in some ways. Using the deathless and the resilience as a model.
Sid, I would also
And
like to say,
I'll show him like the formula and the breakdown and
Yeah.
everything.
I imagine Vale keeps trying to speak, and then she just gets louder
Yep.
for a moment.
Yep.
it's what both you do.
At some point, Melody gets up and hands a potion of healing each to Gil and Amelia. Just because she's
Aw.
me.
she's made them. They're in water skins, by the way. They're
Yep.
not in bottles. It's like a water skin filled with mud.
Are we like sat at a table or whatever?
Yeah, we're like in our common room.
So the whole time I'm like lying, like sat back on the chair, and I'm like casting prestidigitation on a candle to light it up, and then snuff it out, light it up, snuff it out.
That's so annoying. That is.
When she's handed the potions off to people, Melody will join in because I can do that as well.
Ah, now you got two of them.
So it's
candle battle.
what's that song? It's like din 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 din, and then it has that other part to it. I imagine one of them.
Oh, I know the song you're talking about.
With the candles.
So bad. All right.
I know what you're talking about on the piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it's two hands, but
Yeah.
So more or less, your night's conversation doesn't go very well. Is the moral of the story and the summary of the night.
Sid, you do need an alarm, because you are very, very unable to focus on anything other than your work when you're working. There have been several times that I could have just slit your throat.
Yeah, but I don't think you understand. One, focusing on my work is a good thing, and two, I've lived a life.
Fair enough.
I mean, let's be honest here. If I was going to be assassinated, it probably would have been a long time ago. I mean, not anymore.
You also need to be important to be assassinated.
Melody stops
Gil
lighting the candle and just frowns at Gil again.
He goes, no, that's exactly my point. I'm just not anymore. So, I mean, who cares?
Anymore?
Your wife,
What?
your wife might send assassins after you.
I told you, my wife died. You don't listen very well, do you?
Fail.
I knew that.
Gilwood.
Did you?
Yes, that's why I went adventuring. My children took over all the things that I kind of got responsible with, and I left. They're all
Holy
grown up. They don't need me around.
Holy shit.
Phil
Wow.
was really insensitive.
What did you used to do? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, I've always been an inventor. At one point in time, I had to do it during the war, but I've always been an inventor. It's just, I'll be honest with you. Part of the reason why I came out here was, well, one, focus. You can never get focused because, back in the homeland, they always wanted me to work on something different and something different and something different. Oh, let's take the model we have and upgrade it as opposed to recreating the base feature. I mean, we're talking about imprinting here. I can already see the bags forming under your eyes. The short version is, why
reinvent the
slap
wheel?
a...
Why reinvent the wheel? You're talking about building things from the ground up. Why?
Because it's not done yet. Right now, it's you put it all together and hope for the best, and then slap on the shiniest features you can. And they always want to find a shiny new feature. I want to make it work right. If I imprint something, I want to know what's getting imprinted into it. And he literally gestures towards the monkey-like creature with the triangle head or whatever that Ollie had described before, and it's kind of like off being goofy. And he's like, "Did I choose that?" Don't get me wrong. It's adorable as shit.
You know what it's doing? It's Gilwyn and Melody stopped playing with the candle, so it's now climbed its way up the table to the candle and is like patting at where the smoke is.
Ollie, you know what I want to do? I just remembered. If you would allow like a small Barcon while we were shopping, I really wanted to find like toys, like rudimentary toys. Like
That's fine.
Like,
yeah,
in a cup.
I remember that. Yeah, no, I mean also the market's just out there. You could have bought it at any other time as well.
All right, cool. Because I would have bought like rudimentary little toys, like things like where you have like the ball and the string and the cup and you try to get in, and I would have bought them for like Melody and the little like creature.
That's awesome.
Little jingle balls and things like cat toys. Yeah.
Yeah, like little
It's
toys.
thoroughly amused.
Yeah, Melody, after stopping playing with the candle and seeing this thing doing that, Melody would definitely sort of be playing with it.
So Sid would be like, so again, I would take these. You see this thing and you think it's cute, and it looks to Vale and it says or annoying, and instead, what you get, mind you, the cat one is still with Gil. Never left Gil when we left Gil. He says, but I would just make one that's about 75 times its size, and who knows what got imprinted into it. And then you give it a hammer the size of, I don't know, a building, and you'd see what would happen. And obviously he's exaggerating, but he's like, and you'd see what would happen.
Really
I would
dangerous.
rather know. Yes. And now you see the inherent flaw in this way of thinking. And so I left my homeland so I could focus on the imprinting, so I can know what I'm imprinting and how to imprint it and to do it the correct way, so we know what we're giving these weapons to. And they know, and then maybe even go beyond that. What if a new type of life could actually be created, more than just the intelligence of a newt, but an actual intelligent creature could be created from this? Wouldn't that be an amazing addition to our world?
Sure.
But then
But
I come out
Sid-
here.
But Sid, if your intention is to study the imprinting process, why did you just leave it in an area where you couldn't observe it?
Wait.
The creature.
Oh, it doesn't work. Like if I'm in the room when it's happening, it won't work. It's almost like, and again, I don't understand the features and why this happens, but every time I've gone to build one, if I stick around to watch it, it won't imprint. It's almost like by being the inventor of the imprint, the creature that's supposed to be made, I'm warding it from being imprinted. I once stayed up for 113 hours straight watching one of these things. There were quite a few nipple twists to keep my eyes open, and the thing just would not imprint. I leave the room an hour later, and it's running around. It was quite frustrating. So that being said, I'm trying to reinvent the wheel, if you were. Now, here's the biggest problem. It's the focus. When I was there, I had teams of people that would do all the little jobs for me. A tweak of this gear, a turn of that knob, whatever needed to be done. And the jobs could be done very quickly. But here, I have to do everything from the ground up. It's exciting and it's frustrating. And then, there are other things to worry about as well to make sure that I can afford the parts that I need for this. I say, looking over at not even meeting eyes with Vale, but the various different things on Vale that I've worked on since I met him. And that leads to, once again, lack of focus I don't have a set workshop, so I spend half of the nights setting up my workshop and half the day breaking it down, and then I'm half asleep when I'm working on the inventions that I am. And I'm sorry, coffee here is shit. I mean,
yeah, that is a problem.
How old are you?
I've told you before, I'm 200 and clicking on my character sheet. I'm 230 or 231.
And how old do gnomes typically live?
I maybe get another century left.
Oh,
Maybe.
good.
If I'm lucky, I mean, we're talking those are going to be my sunset years where, I'm going to be shitting myself and, speaking things that don't make sense.
Because I was thinking if this is cutting edge research and you are, even if you are writing it down, people may not be able to interpret it. So it'd be kind of a dick move of you to go ahead and die while you're doing this research. But if you have like another century left, then...
Well, that's the plan, is to hope to finish this. But if I died before it ended, I mean, who am I to rule the people, of Astana? I mean, that was never my place to be. And so I certainly am not going to tell them that what they're doing is wrong if I can't prove that it's wrong.
Why don't you instruct someone step by step on how to create one of these things?
Sure.
And then imprint it on you.
Lesson 1. 2 + 2 = 4. You gonna write that down?
-1.
No. I mean, and then it could imprint on you.
Quick maths.
No, it doesn't really work like that. It's so many of these things have been made, but they never. I don't even know if they imprint on people. I don't think they have. Maybe I'm trying to see. Imprinting off of people sounds dangerous.
There's a clunk as the punchline falls off the dwarven stone table, and then finds like one of the cat toys that was under the table from last time, and there's just a jingling that leaves the room slowly.
See, I mean, imprinting off of people could be a good thing, or it could be really dangerous. What if the invention of imprinting off of people was created, and it wasn't a perfect imprinting, but pretty close, and then you had some evil, maniacal, I don't know, person of power that's trying to amass more ways to spread their power, and they just make multiple. Are you familiar with the please help me out here, Amelia? You build a snowman, and you wiggle your fingers at it, and then it like reforms to look like a person. What's that? You know that spell?
I think for the word? Oh, the spell?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Simulacrum. Simulacrum? Oh, Mealy would not know Simulacrum. Scott, that's a 5th level. That's what, like a 7th level spell?
Yeah, well, you have Arcana checks.
He's 20 level intelligence, though. Amelia doesn't know what that is. Jarviskjir isn't a place where spells are written down the same in every place as well.
That's high level magic, good sir.
Yeah, that's...
Good sir.
I was like, shape water.
Like, even Gilwyn probably doesn't know that the spell he's doing is called Prestidigitation. That sort of world.
Well then, it's magic to duplicate a person. And then you have this evil, tyrannical genius duplicated. Who wants that? So again, I'm trying to figure it out.
Sounds to me like you are coming back to the original point, which is you should be assassinated.
Oh, not yet. Maybe if I do discover the bad thing. But for now, you have effectively big creatures that are as dumb as a dog, but not necessarily as loyal, protecting my homeland as its primary guard. And that doesn't sound very safe from, the people that I love, from the land that I've spent more years than any of you have been alive, caring for.
Lucky it's an island, then.
Yeah, lucky for everybody else, but what if my people? I mean, your people are going to be extinct, and I'm not bringing this up to be mean. I'm saying, why would I want to subject my people to that? You have to understand, I'm one of the original inventors of this. I helped to create it.
Yes, it'd be your fault for the genocide.
Which is why we need to make it completed. And I was young and stupid, and so listened to the leadership and continued with all the fun little features that they wanted, instead of, again, finishing the initial... It shouldn't have been turned into war machines to begin with, but I didn't fight back. I was just happy to be where I was, and I had literally the largest facility that you could imagine, with so many people working under me. And I lost focus.
I was going to reach and put a hand on his shoulder and say, you have done clearly a terrible thing. No, what you have done has clearly been mispurposed. And I'm sure you will find a way to change that before you cop it.
Well, let's hope, because as it stands, I mean, I'm not saying it's all my fault, but
Who knows, right?
Nature will take its course.
Wow, that was very dark, especially considering the topic, Melody. We are talking about mine and his people's both dying out.
Melody just nods.
well, did you try the that? Yeah, I mean nature might take its course. Wait, I just realized something. Let's say you did have a baby. You can't have a baby with. How do you repopulate without insect? I'm sorry, I'm just coming to a
Vale
realization.
just raises his eyebrows at him. That's it.
It's one of those things where he's like, his mouth got ahead of his brain, or his brain got ahead of his. You know what I mean? This is one of those like, oh shit.
So, you go to bed eventually after a long night of talking shit.
It's nice to be bonded.
It is. It's a nice moment. That's why I didn't want to stop it.
It doesn't feel like the party's going to fall apart anymore.
Yeah, things got brought together. Aside from the fact that usually Gilwyn would be laughing during that conversation, instead he just stared at a candle that has been
Vale's
snuffed
too
out.
tired after that conversation. Otherwise, he might have gone in and
Just so everybody knows, right
him.
before we go live, Dean punches himself in the dick. Just to make sure that he's...
yeah, he's it's like...
Hey, he's like, we're going live in 5.
Just to get the right level of mope going on. So the next day, pretty early, like 8 a.m., which isn't the earliest thing in the world, but no, it would definitely be 7 a.m. because I was going to say there's no sun, but it's a dwarven city in summertime. You are woken up to the guard straight up entering your common room. Probably finding Sid like asleep on a couch, even though he has a room. The peace talks are beginning shortly. Everyone is amassed in the feasting hall.
Everybody's already amassed. How are we supposed to get ready in time? These are diplomatic functions. Oh boy.
Melody walks out.
He gives you no pity.
Nell's gonna start like fussing and preening and like walking about. Like sees Melody walk out the room with like major bed hair, and he just
No, she's like fully, her hair's fine. She's fully ready. It's just her clothes are a rumpled mess. She clearly
slept in them. Yeah. No one told her not to. She's been sleeping in them.
Yeah, so I would just get ready and I would go over to like Melody and I would comb out her hair like I do every morning now, which would be new to Gilwyn.
Yeah, Gilwyn's just sitting at the other side of the room, just like
sulking.
Vale, as I have something that you might need to use during these talks.
Huh? He like looks over from pulling on the Yeti fur armor. Huh? What's it?
Yeah, I know, it looks great, doesn't it? Oh, man. And he all of a sudden
diplomatic functions.
Yes, and this is gonna look great too. And he pulls out. We're gonna call it a helmet, but the thing is,
it's a dildo. God damn it!
Wait a minute, that's a very large jump.
You
saw that hand gesture.
Valid. Okay, accepting.
We're gonna pull a helmet, and but the thing is, like, the gears that are attached to it, and at one point in time, like, kind of like over here off to the back, it almost has like a spinning propeller, and whatnot, kind of like the goofy ones, like a spinning propeller from the back, has a few gears. There's occasionally a little shock that goes from one spot to the other, and he goes, "You might want to wear this. It looks ridiculous."
I was gonna like look at it. No.
Well, hold on. And he says in Gnomish to him, "Trust me."
Does it function while I'm holding?
So you just hear me say something that you don't understand.
Sid, I don't understand.
Just try it on. He says, "Come."
Stuart, not making me look like a monkey.
So he puts it on. He looks ridiculous. And then I say to him in Gnomish, I go, and I'll actually say to him Sid's favorite poem in Gnomish, but it only makes sense in Gnomish. If you translate it to Common or any other language, it just kind of like loses that oomph. And he'll actually recite, his favorite poem. Not like, I won't even make a performance roll because it's not meant to be like moving. It's just from memory. I gotta get memory.
And does he understand it?
100%.
Because he's wearing
Helm of Comprehend Languages.
Helm of Comprehend Languages, thank you. Good. You understand it, and because it's Comprehend Languages, you also can tell, especially in the first moments, that he's speaking Gnomish before your brain and the spell sort of catches up and translates it for you. Yeah, you get it. You get it. You actually, and also you understand Melody like talking to herself while Amelia's talking to her hair.
That's interesting.
It's probably the other thing,
You wouldn't have actually. It's like when Gil spoke to her or had Comprehend Language.
Still doesn't make sense.
You realise Melody's far better at speaking Sylvan than she is at Common. Yeah. It's still, you can still hear the melodies in amongst it, but.
Sid, this is impressive, but I would look like an absolute twat.
Sometimes I've got to remember that this stream is British. Got to remind you every now and again.
He goes, "Oh, you mean it's not good looking enough for you? Listen, I can work out that I made that in one night, just like I made your weapon, okay? Give me 1 day!"
Sid.
Maybe Amelia knows an illusion or something, or maybe Gil can make it.
Gil pleadingly looks at Amelia, then Gil.
Prestidigitation to change the color. Make it blue. There you go.
I suppose it...
There you go. That's fine.
Holy shit.
Gil, please.
I can...
Don't make me do this. Like the guards are just standing there.
The guard is literally standing in the room while you're doing all of this, and you hear him just say a very long dwarven insult, and it's very racist.
Hey,
I can't repeat it.
That now.
Yeah, you should understand.
It's because I understood it too. I speak Dwarven. I'm like, it's not the conversation with them or them with each other. It's them with themselves. There's always side chatter in diplomatic meetings. You need to get what they're saying if you're going to be the mediator.
Fine. Nobody laughs.
I can make it invisible for an hour.
Gil. Gil, I knew you would. I knew you would come through for me, please.
But I'm not going to.
Gil, why, please? No,
all right, fine.
Reputation. I will be.
And I'll walk up and pull out an eyelash encased in like some gum, and I'll like crush it in my hand and like rub Vale's head essentially, and work my way to hat.
The thing for rubbing on people's faces and ears.
And I'll say to him, I can only do this once because if I do this in the middle of the meeting, I will be killed.
I comprehend. And he looks at it.
Very bad. Very bad.
You know when people tell jokes, they shake their head at them like, I want to laugh, but God, no, that really is bad. It's having one of those moments.
Well, Sid, it was impressive for a night's
work.
And
the hat goes invisible.
But really, you should get some sleep at some point.
You know,
I'll
Guys,
sleep during the meeting, I'm sure.
you've got 59 minutes left, so come on.
Yes, let's go. I at least
About
when
time.
people see me for the first time, I need to not look like an absolute gnome.
Well, I know you look like a twat under that spell. Then the guard starts leading you to
As-
Yeah,
the
all right.
hall.
As they walk out, Melody just turns to Amelia and says, "Meeting lasts less than an hour."
I wish.
Do I overhear that? Please tell me I overhear
Of
that.
course you do.
Yeah, probably.
I tend to Amelia and Melody and like raise my eyebrows and do that.
Melody reaches back at you.
Joke's on you because you think this is going to be funny, but actually something's just going to pop out of invisibility on my head and instantly like 12 dwarven crossbow bolts are just going to... He's got a helmet!
it's good that you're wearing all armor made by me.
Yeah. Okay, so you head down. You're led to a meeting hall. Now you met the Dwarf Lord. You met Copperbeard in his hall, and this is a similar sort of room. In fact, actually, at the very back of the room, there is basically 2 thrones. But this isn't a throne room. In fact, there's that little area at the back with the thrones. But before then is a mead hall, more or less, with a large table that is filled with some food, not actual like a meal. Nibbles, filled with nibbles. And lots of chairs, and this is because it's a dwarven place. This is like, the chairs are beautifully made, but they are fused to the ground, made of the same stone the ground's made of. The walls actually show perhaps the most beautiful dwarven artwork you've seen. Like this beautiful engraving all across the wall that's telling some kind of story.
God, man,
But-
the first thing I thought of was when you said the chairs are like fused into the ground, was just like Ballbreaker sitting down on one and then just going. Ballbreaker's a Goliath barbarian with like 20 strength,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
scraping it
remember
in,
that game.
just crack, and everyone's like.
But Ballbreaker lived with dwarves, so he'd know that to be a social
Yeah, that's
faux pas. When you get in there, you are not everyone is here. He said everyone's amassed. That's not true. But Caspak's there. The elf is. A few of the people. Their box isn't there. Lady Builder is there, but there's not much more of her sort of group. And Copperbeard's there, and there's a few dwarves. There's clearly one of these lawkeepers that is just writing everything everyone is saying, and there's several pads, and some of them are writing even though he's not writing on them. You know, they've got some kind of spell going on, probably unseen servant that you guys can figure out.
Scratched his nose.
Yeah, exactly, that sort of thing. Everything is being recorded. And then there's a couple of other more dwarves, and some of them are clearly stewards who are just like, oh, do you need anything? Is anything good? And actually, one of them would come up to the group of you and is like, oh, yes, Amelia and party. Is everything satisfactory? Is there anything you need before this begins? I know you're not going to be entirely vocal during all of this.
But how long do you think it would be before everyone's ready?
Well, I imagine people are usually ready in more or less 10 minutes or so.
Any chance of a proper breakfast?
What would you desire, sir?
Well, I from when I was in the Crimson Mountain, I got a real taste for Unveil's gonna like spiel off. He likes the dwarven bacon, the thin cut stuff, not the thick cut dwarven bacon. Come on, and he has like a real fancy for this little mushroom that he's.
I realised I was starting to write on a fake notepad with a paper, and I had one right in front of me.
Anyway, yeah, and then he's gonna like look around at the others, like breakfast.
You said there were nibbles about, well, didn't you, Ollie?
Yep.
Melody's probably already at those, like,
Yeah.
eating stuff randomly.
See, Vel didn't want to ravage a bowl of nibbles.
That's not.
Melody
That's
is
also a
round
social faux
except-
pas. Yeah, you get breakfast ordered, and it actually comes out pretty soon. And in the next few minutes, while you potter about and probably don't say much because you're kind of feeling a little awkward, the rest of the humans come in more or less. Well, there's a couple more tieflings, as there always is.
So are we all like seated together at the same sort of area?
There's actually no seating. As in, there's there's designated seating. That's just sort of the centerpiece of the room.
Oh my god, we have to stand for ages.
You can sit, and some people have sat, but there's no designated sitting. It's not like you're expected to eat a big meal right now anyway. One of the humans that meet, definitely the leader of the Plague Church is there, and another member of that. A few more 4 humans, and actually someone that Sid recognizes, Fulcrum. You guys have never met Fulcrum. Fulcrum is a actually really young-looking human male, like maybe 17, and his hair is white, like not Amelia's, just kind of like a natural white. His doesn't look right. And he is sort of dressed like a wizard would be. And actually, in a very similar way, he's writing a lot of things down. He doesn't seem to be having many conversations, and he's almost in, like, Lady Builder's shadow at most time. Lady Builder, by the way, you don't need to do any kind of roll. She's just anxious. She is anxious and kind of uncomfortable by this whole thing, but she's, getting ready.
Is the captain of the guard with them as well?
No.
Titan Rockshaper has stayed behind to keep things in ship-shape fashion.
Exactly. Don't want to take the captain of the guard away.
Rockshaper fashion.
I don't know if it's actually better or worse.
Yeah, I think that's probably better for us, to be honest.
But he was starting to come around.
I suppose, yeah.
Towards the end of our talking. I don't know.
Actually, me and Gil saw something last night. Sid and Amelia. It was... they were brought in a chest in with the deadless. They were like small glass orbs containing some form of smoke. To be quite honest, they looked like weapons to me. But one of the guards mentioned it could be fired from a catapult. Just in the off chance that someone were to, say, drop one of these orbs in the center of this gathering.
How large?
Fit in 2 hands?
And what color was the smoke?
Sort of... Was it?
Blackish purple.
Blackish purple, yeah.
Unnatural.
Can I do an Arcana roll?
You can try. It'll be a disadvantage. You're going off.
Yeah. I want to know, like, certain schools of magic are usually associated with colors. I
Not
seem like black
here.
and purple. Not here. Okay.
So much.
Smells. And
Black and purple.
Smells, yes. Colors, no.
so Sid would actually say to you, he'd be like, well, I'm actually in the back of my mind counting the seconds until the illusion on your head is going to, dispel, so that we can, not have the helmet magically pop on your head, because that's something that you were worried about. However,
52 minutes and 47 seconds left.
Yeah, I got it. You just divide by 60, and then round the carry, and never mind. So my thing is, I can actually step out of the room for like a minute and, prepare myself to be able to detect any magic that they have going on here. I can do that, but I don't think I can both incant and keep count at the same time. Conversation and counting's no problem, but incanting and counting's...
To be honest, I was less worried about knowing what they are. It doesn't matter if we know what they are now.
It doesn't.
Rather...
They go off.
That item you're looking for in Aradia, what was it again?
Like a small blackish urn with some inscription on the front.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a liquor bottle.
Sorry.
I've not seen it for a long time.
Oh man,
You don't even know
Gil,
what you're
this is
looking
your
for.
friend that you were looking for. What was it that he had lost?
I have his liquor bottle.
Wait,
I do. It's in my inventory.
Caitlin had the liquor bottle.
No, Caitlin. No,
Caitlin had this
took
urn.
Caitlin took the urn. Gil took the liquor
The
bottle
hip flask,
because Caitlin
yeah.
had taken
Oh,
the urn.
you have the hip flask.
Yeah.
The okay. Then you don't know anything.
oh,
That's okay.
ha. Yep, I understand what you're
Sorry.
saying.
They're both deathless. I thought their magic might be related somehow.
I see. I did think it was a strange question to ask. Well, I was just thinking perhaps we had a way to prevent important people from breathing in, say, said unnatural purple mist smoke If it came to it.
I actually have just the ability for that.
Really?
Good.
I was going to
But-
say, this short
Stay
of
close
time,
by.
I was going to say, I could dampen some cloths and drape them over our faces.
There's no
And-
sink in sight, Sid.
And say.
Wait a
if,
minute.
oh,
Filled
God.
with liquid.
Just stay close by.
If things like that happen, obviously, first and foremost, get yourself out.
No.
No? Just saying I don't want to die in some horrific, oh, my lungs filling with burning fluid.
I'm not worried.
Yeah, but on the bright side, at least you won't look like an idiot when you do die. Well, for another 51.
Until you die.
With this information, perhaps we should sit closer to those who are important. And with that, Ollie, can I try to position myself so I'm within range of the two people I care about, which is Lady Builder and Fulcrum?
Yeah,
Not
sure.
Fulcrum.
You cast Catalan.
Yep.
Would it be sensible to spread ourselves around?
They are all in together, so you can absolutely walk over to that sort of party, and almost what
Yeah.
like you're having a conversation or doing that. You're then very quickly sucked into a conversation.
Okay. Cool.
Like so that's
So
you
Amelia's
gone.
Perhaps, Gil, but to be quite honest, I was hoping to have someone to talk to through this, so that I wouldn't be bored out of my... I'm supposed to be listening. Oh, very well, I guess I will go and sit somewhere where I will have a good... I don't... You know... The hat with the whirly bits. Vale's gonna, like, look for a seat where he might have a good
fine.
ability to listen to background conversation
Sort
around
of a
the
little
hall.
bit away from the main talk, because right now while that's happening, like the main talk is sort of starting while you're having this main thing. The peace talks, no, you're not. I'm not gonna go through actual hours, perhaps days of conversation. Just learn that right now, while that's going on, they're starting to talk while you're going and sitting down.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's kind of like, you do realize that most of the important stuff that's going to be said is going to be said literally now, in the past several minutes prior to now, and during the short breaks or recessions, assuming these peoples do that, because, I mean, the words they say to each other are all scripted, you know, unless passion takes over. The words that they say now are going to be candid, so go get a listening.
All you get is a finger back from Vale as he's wondering.
Vale, you actually can give me
Sally likes a finger from time to time.
give me a perception check to see if you notice anything weird,
I will be.
anything that catches your ear. I'm not going to give you advantage because you can hear all languages. It just means you can understand all languages. 23 perception. Okay. Gilwyn said, "What are you doing during this time? Are you just sort of standing by Melody, who's standing by food?"
I'll be with Melody.
Sounds good. So you sit down as this talk starts, and it's a sort of like a trying to be polite. And Kaspak is not
Kaspak.
is nice but not polite.
Yeah.
You can tell like some of the first things he does are pretty insulting, but you also know that Lady Builder isn't really a noblewoman. She's kind of just like a regular person who's sort of been thrust in
She's
this
a builder
position.
who's a lady.
Well, she doesn't look like she's ever built anything in her life.
Not even like an IKEA couch.
Maybe an IKEA couch. But like the first thing that happens is considered fairly rude by most people, and like Kaspak tells an inappropriate joke about donkeys very quick. It is not going great. But Lady Builder is the kind of person who isn't going to be like, oh, and then go back. When things get awkward, she gets awkward. So it actually just sort of gets worse and worse and worse. And Fulcrum, you hear Fulcrum start having a little bit of conversations in Elvish with the undead elf. You catch a little bit of the conversation, and it's sort of more like, oh, I've heard you around, haven't seen you, where are you actually from? And it's more or less the explanation he gave you. It was like, I'm from the miasma, with very little pleasantries. And while that's going on, you do notice something pretty strange. There are little other conversations going on, but most people are listening. An actual hushed conversation in Abyssal, you notice, between
Oh,
a
boy.
tiefling who was with Lady Builder's entourage and a deadless. And more or less, is everything going to go to plan? Yes. We'll attack today. We'll summon in, and then the beasts will take care of it all.
Can you repeat that again?
So, more or less, it's like, everything's going to plan. Yep, we'll summon them in. They'll take care of it.
I see.
And it's the tiefling who's doing most of the talking. The deadless is just sort of like nodding and then saying the occasional thing. But because but you can tell why, because deadless kind of can't whisper. So that's kind of why it's a one-sided conversation.
Can I Sorry, I was eating a bit of chocolate. Move myself round. I was having a treat like Penny. Little bit of chocolate.
Are you saying you want to kill Penny? Give her chocolate? I don't know.
You can't make that joke, Scott.
Can't make that joke, Scott. Out loud.
I would like to wander my way around the crowd until I'm sort of behind-ish the tiefling.
Sure. When you're there, the conversation completely stops, and they Vasil don't talk. In fact, actually, the tiefling, the deadless goes back to his sort of party, and the tiefling sort of stays a little bit separate from everything, but still, at least if you didn't know
fine.
better, listening to the conversation.
I'm basically marking the tiefling at this point.
Cool. Nothing else. You're just gonna stand and behind him, pretty obviously.
I don't want to make it obvious.
No, but like, do you want to make any kind of mention to the party so they can tell? Shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have taken a mouthful. You thought you were done. You weren't done.
He's like, we're having a one-on-one intense RP moment. You're like, I'm gonna shove it.
He's getting nibbles.
Rock-sized lob of chocolate. No.
Gilwyn, do you notice this? Give me a perception check.
Me?
Yeah, because
I'm giving Gilwyn a sign. Like, I'm sleight of handed, you know. I'm like,
you notice. It's ridiculous, but subtle. You notice. You don't need to roll. You
well,
notice anyway. But you actually do notice that the guy he's standing in behind, it's very warm and he's wearing a lot of layers. And he's kind of... You know what people look like when they're waiting to do something. Like, do sort of... Even when they're pretty chill, they do sort of like shift and move and act a little too hard to be casual.
I will grab Melody's hand, remove the pretzels from them, put them back.
no, oh,
Hey,
don't
just
put
looks
them
up and
back.
he's slightly hurt. Well, looks that way, yeah.
Melody, just hold my hand and watch the person that Vale is right next to. The person with the horns, okay?
Melody watches.
Melody is absolutely not going to be subtle about this, though. So this guy is going to make a check. 'Cause fuck you. Yeah, thanks, Scott, for that. Audio visual.
Back to ASMR Scott.
ASMR.
We'll be doing a cranial exam today.
Oh, he rolls real badly. In fact, this guy actually doesn't notice because he starts having a conversation with one of the humans. And Vale, give me an insight check, please.
Vale will give you an insight check, alright?
Insight me.
Won't
Set
be very
me
good,
free. You don't notice anything weird.
You know, you could have asked me to give you more enchanted items.
Sometimes I know when I do something, it's like, Dean's going to appreciate that for some reason.
Incite me. Set me free.
Okay, so you don't notice anything weird about this conversation. It isn't common. You hear it all. It's sort of just like is this conversation going as planned?
It's
I didn't have
it's
so
like-
high hopes
it's like-
for it.
The donkey ticks past 12 tonight. And Vale's like, seems normal.
You know what? Melody is paying attention. Melody can give me an insight roll as well. I'm being nice.
First roll,
Sounds
I've like however many hours of this.
So he just has this conversation with this other human.
Okay.
Wait,
And
am I
these
not watching them as well?
If you want, give me an insight.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Hey.
Gilwyn, you notice that the tiefling that Vale is marking sounds kind of depressed, but you don't think anything weird of it.
Huh.
Like, me
That was a
too.
high DC.
So this conversation continues, the peace talks continue, and at this point it has gotten down to, okay, this is what we as a Deadless people want. We want to be mercenaries.
Humble.
But Tiefling is not humble. You recognize Humble.
Vale would take extra pleasure in cutting it.
Humble's not here. I was thinking, is Humble going to be here? Humble has no reason to be here. I just like Humble.
Yeah, humble pie.
Little Humble Pie. So as the peace talks continue, and they're talking about, they're basically deciding, hey, should the Deadless get what they want? Should they be considered people? We'll come back after a break while
Oh my
they
God,
think
already?
about that.
That
Yeah,
was
I know,
quick.
right?
Let's take a nap.
You Sid talked for like half an hour. So we'll be back in a
Deadless
bit.
lives matter.